Oaks in the upper left, in the red. He is from Massless Gaming. Give it up, Serral.
And his opponent spawning down in the bottom right for Team NV. It is Dong Regu. And something a little bit interesting already is, we didn't see it on the camera here, but Serral didn't even really bother splitting his workers or pairing his drones early on. I don't know if you noticed that at all, but he actually had a triple stack for the first like 15, 20 seconds of the game. And that's not a massively remarkable thing for almost anyone else. But for Serral, it's a little bit surprising. Like we kind of expect, you know, the ultra dialed in mode, but this tells me that he's kind of, you know, like he's like, oh, okay, well, we're here. It's IEM Katowice day 2. It's my first ZVZ. Maybe I make sure I don't mess anything up. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but I'm surprised more than anything.
It's also one of those things, Steadfast, where like if you don't catch it immediately, like it's just not worth doing. So yeah, I don't know, maybe he wasn't looking. Regardless, we are going to go into this. DRG maybe the tiniest of leads. I think his pool finished like half a second faster or something. Again, not the biggest of deals. But as we talk about this series, we talk about this matchup that is ZVZ, we talked about a little bit going into it, players don't tend to practice this matchup all that much. It's, you know, for several reasons. There are not a lot of ZVZs that happen competitively compared to the other mirrors, particularly PvP, compared to just the other matchups. And at least in Europe, it's actually competitively disadvantageous to practice because there are 4 Zergs. On the top, you have Lambo, Raynor, Alazer, and Serral. And if, say, Serral practices with Raynor, he lets Raynor know what he does, and you know, he gives Raynor an advantage that he doesn't give to the other players. It just becomes really awkward because there's such a small pool. As the lane will not find its way on the high ground. And remember, Steadfast, what is Serral known for? Having lings in your base every 30 seconds, right? Just knowing everything that happens. So good job there.
Constant scouting.
Exactly. So good job there, DRG, denying the first set.
Yeah, really nice move right there from DRG. Specifically putting the drone on the ramp was a really cool little move. And Serral, he's like, okay, well, I gotta get some lings out here in case this is, you know, some kind of weird all-in. I don't know what's going on. But it's actually gonna be 2-base Baneling with, how many did he go up to? Yeah, he went up to 4 queens. So this is kind of like the foundation of a 2-base Muta opener in ZVT of very old, but with a ZVZ, you know, twist with him getting that quick Baneling nest to make sure he's able to secure this third. But I think this will in fact lead to very quick mutas. And yeah, we've got DRG already taking a second gas. This looks very interesting to me and is a really neat way to approach the Serral problem.
It really is. I mean, Serral has been vocal for quite a while about how he just doesn't like mutas, but Ling's flooding onto the other side. Baneler's going to try to morph here. Actually, Serral just bypasses that, beelines onto the third base. He's aware that the Banelings are morphing, but he would rather get damage done on this base, doing a little bit of math and realizing that he can put a lot of problems on DRG's plate. So the Ling's are going to run away. Great splits from Serral at the start, trying to knock this Baneling down. One will fall. Good job. And a random Baneling from Serral kind of runs away. It looks like at the end of the day, Serral's just going to back up on this. He did force some extra Banelings. He did force some Lings. And Steadfast, when we talk about the Muta idea, any Baneling you spend does slow those Mutas down just a little bit. And when we talk about a 2-base Muta idea, you want those out as quickly as possible. So a nice little bit of pressure there from Serral, but the Lings find their way on the other side. It's not going to kill anything, and Serral does have enough Lings on the map, but it does force him back and allows a scout into the main.
Yeah, and this is a really nice scout. Did DRG, I think he saw the drone count of his opponent. That's got to be what he's looking for most. He sees no layer, and he is going for a fast +1 melee right now. As far as Serral is concerned, how would you ever know what's really happening? This is a very confusing setup from DRG to go up against, and I think the thing that Serral hates most about mutas is how they make it so difficult to scout. DRG, he's always been a heavily mechanics-focused player, an extremely strong player in that regard. And I mean, this is a great way to play. Well, that was DRG losing so many Banelings, or wow, Zerglings, yeah. Wow. Serral just had a random Bane that I didn't even see, and neither did DRG, and it just killed a lot of Lings.
Yeah, now, Steadfast, as we get into this game, though, you talk about the Serral problem, the Muta problem. The interesting thing here is that European Zergs in particular have kind of solved the pure Muta problem. You know,
Yes.
you turtle on 3 bases, you get a 4th base eventually when you get a lot of queens, you go from there, right? You get into Hive and you get into Lurkers, and that just kind of deals with it. The fact that DRG is getting +1 melee tells us that he does want to commit very heavily to these mutas as an overseer. It's finally going to find its way into the main base, but with the queens, well, it's actually just going to get shut down, but the changeling is going to get the scout. So there we go. Serral now knows what's happening. Ring around the rosy with the drone. That's a little cute. And yeah, full scout there. I do know, though, Steadfast, you want to talk about these spines.
Yeah, the fact that he lets them finish when he really didn't need them is very unfortunate for DRG. There was no roach attack coming. He just built these spines saying, okay, I want to bridge the gap to my mutas, and I don't blame him. But that does slow down his max out timing and will give Serral more time to, you know, get up to those lurkers, to get up to the next stage of the game and be able to deal with a potential Mutaling Bane play. Now, I'm not sure if Serral, oh, look at this nice little overseer on the bottom side. I'm not sure if Serral yet has identified that it is going to be mass Mutaling Bane, but he's seen the upgrade on this Spire and he sees that it's still wiggling. So I think at this point, he's probably going to be able to figure it out. We do see a bit of Muta harass in the main base. It will grab 1 queen. And we got to mention, the main base is gigantic. So, you know, he's going to need, well, okay, there we go. He's got a creep tumor here. Another creep tumor coming on up. He's going to have to set up for this, and it will be a bit of a nuisance to defend against these mutas, at least initially.
Oh, this is interesting, though. So instead of going for +2 range and just allowing your queens to maybe fight a little better, Serral is playing a slightly evolved version of this stuff where you get Carapace. It's going to work for your Lings, you know, well, actually, there's +1 melee, but in general, it just means everything survives a little bit better. So when you have these big waves of Ling Bane, Muta come crashing in, you're actually going to be able to withstand that one just a little bit more, which is, again, kind of a cool idea. And behind this, we have Roach Burrow, we have movement speed, finally that +2 on the way. So Serral, he seems comfortable, content, confident on how he's going to be able to defend these 3 or 4 bases he's going to take. Now that that has been secured, you know, he's got mutas, he's got queens, he's got roaches where they need to be. It's the Hive, sure, but it's also enabling some level of harass on the other side with these burrowed roaches.
Yeah, it's going to be a nuisance to deal with for DRG if he doesn't figure out what's going on. But he has got, look at this, he's got an Overseer on its little siege mode on both exits to Serral's base, and he's getting Overlord speed. This is excellent. He knows who he's up against. Still, Serral has managed to actually sneak 4 roaches out to the right side, and I don't think DRG knows about them. This is actually going to cause quite a disruption if DRG hits in during all this. Infestors are on the field, but they don't have the burrow just yet, or pardon me, the fungal growth just yet. However, the roaches will be able to tank and save most of the drones, only 10 of them going down. That was a lot of Banelings. Those were +2 melee Banes, which is, of course, great. Oh, where are the roaches? Okay, looks like they tried to go in, weren't able to get anything done. Hive for DRG as well. This is going to be... I wonder what this is going to be for. I assume it's probably going to be for these ultras. Yeah, wow, look at this. We've got 5 dropper lords. This is where the big main base is going to be so good for DRG here. Oh, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah. So, again, with these +2 Lings, they're going to start to shred away. Now, Serral is unlocked on the map a little bit. He does have the roaches. They're not even going to bother to unburrow everything. Only a couple on the outlying base, and then maybe move a little bit further. And Serral knows. Ooh. He saw it. I don't know what he saw, but he's going to be able to find at least the Lings and delay some of the damage. But they're going to try to get the Hive here. Dropper Lords go in to soak the spores. Is there a fungal? There's nothing. It's just these roaches, and there are not enough of them here. The natural, the drones, everything's trying to fight, and the Hive is just barely going to stay alive. How many HP? 39!
That is the clutchest of clutch saves right there. We're going to see the mutas coming on in. Where are the queens? Oh, they get bumbled up at the natural, and the Hive falls anyways. The queens, there was so much transfuse energy. I thought for sure he was going to be able to get back there, but the roaches, they couldn't get out of the way. Oh my goodness, that's actually a disaster for Serral. And now his tech, well, it's fully reset. He doesn't even have a lurker den. No Hydra den, no lurker den. This is a pretty bad situation right now for Serral in game number 1. We got +3 melee on the way for DRG. We've got 5 bases The roaches are going to unburrow in the natural, but they are kind of being tracked here. Serral, ooh, he's going to burrow up the infestors.
Oh, but okay, I thought that was a trap, but he didn't go for it. Instead, counterattack on the other side, and he's just going to have to run away. The bait, he's trying so hard for it, but I get, no, DRG, he sees all of that now. The Overseer morphs on top of all the burrowed everything, so that's not going to work out. Serral just trying to go for some massive counterattacks all over the place, and he's getting some damage steadfast, but again, he's on 2 hatch. He doesn't have the production to sustain these losses.
Oh my, it's going to be Broodlords. It's going to be Broodlords out of DRG. And if he can get up to them, that'll be great. But there's the Fungal Growth Parasitic Bomb. Well, Parasitic Bomb initially. DRG, though, has a huge spread. Serral needs to get the hell out of here. He's killed off 1 base, 12 drones. Oh, Fungal Growth. Fungal Growth, Fungal Growth. He needs to drop the Fungals. He will burrow on up. Where is the Overseer? They are speed Overseers. Parasitic Bomb, Fungal Growth coming on in. Oh, and the Muta's taking some big hits. But I believe that was every single Infestor that died. Only 1 Viper left over. This is a horrible situation for Serral now. I think DRG's run away with this game.
It's crazy. We look at this and it's like, well, you know, Broodlords are not good in ZVZ. You just get abducted into this force and die. But if you're this far ahead and you know your opponent doesn't have
no
hive,
Vipers.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just not a lot you can do. There's only 1 Viper, and Serral, yeah, he's coming in for the counterattack, finding 17 drones, which is fantastic. But I mean, his tech was just completely obliterated.
I mean, actually, here's the interesting thing. We talked about Broodlords being the idea. Solar's just built more mutas. He has the Broodlord tech done, right? He has these corruptors. He's not using them into anything. He's on 42 mutas. And Serral is desperately trying to find whatever anti-air he can find. He finally has Hydras on the field, but these are 2-1 Hydras. They're not going to fight. They're not going to survive long enough. Although I guess the one thing we have, and okay, Vipers are out now, but you know the mutas are only on +1.
Yeah, exactly. It's only, well, there's the 1 Viper just survived. It's only +1. We are seeing Lings trying to get in. Oh, this is the layer. Oh, if he'd clicked that, he might have actually killed it. Those were +2 melee Lings. Ooh, we are seeing the Viper coming on in. It does get saved, but the main hatchery is going to go down. Transfuse not able to save that. Even the spawning pool going to fall. And now the first couple Broodlords are going to be hitting the field. Yeah, there's just really nothing that deals with this. Serral trying to get some work done with the counterattacks. The burrow move roaches, and he's doing great work with this. Oh, did he just try and bluff him away? I think he might have by shooting the creep tumor, or it was a misclick. Either way, this is looking just brutal right now for Serral. And, you know, if DRG gets up to like 8 to 10 Broodlords and just pushes across the map, I don't see what Serral can do without Vipers. And he's only going to have 1. He'll have 2 Abducts. That is not enough.
Okay, so if Serral is able to max out, and he's doing a great job of delay, I don't think he's going to be able to prevent this push, but if he is able to continue denying the move outs from DRG, he is, you know, he's on 50 workers. He's got his hive on the way, but he's going to have a massive max out. And remember, Steadfast, as much as we kind of like the Broodlords as a timing, the Broodlings do not last nearly as long. You can actually fight through them in a way you used to not be able to do so, and the Hydra's are actually trying to do that right now. Abducts on a couple Broodlords, that's going to be 2 of them going down, and he can still kind of fight the Broodlings here. We have Groove Spines, I think we do. To the Queens, the Hydras are going to try to get on top of thing, and Steadfast, there is nothing to support these Broodlords. They're just trying to play on that dead airspace, and it's not working out all that well.
It's not doing too badly, but I mean, the thing is, eventually, Serral will suck enough energy up to abduct every single one of these Broodlords. And like you said, the Broodlings are not actually doing that much. They are rather unsupported. The thing is, if there was like Banes here, this would just be game over. Like the Hydras would not be able to do anything about that. Even just a few Lings would be a bit of a problem. Maybe more than a few, like 50 or 60 Lings. But it is pretty much mass muta here now. The Broodlords are continuing to get abducted, and he is replacing them slowly. Ooh, but the muta's in the natural. Well, they are not going to be answered here. That single spore getting blown instantly up. And I think DRG's got him.
Yeah, this is checkmate. Yeah, there we go. Serral taps out. Game 1 goes the way of DRG. That was old school. +1 melee, mutas into broods. Super cool, though. DRG takes game 1.
Yeah, that was really freaking awesome. Very well done by DRG there. That was cool. That was really well done.
Yeah, no, that was I did not give DRG any credit in this series with how good Serral has been looking, with how good historically he's been in ZVZ. But you said it. He goes, if he is able to go, and actually, it's a best of 3. DRG's won the good majority of those that they've played. DRG magic.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Absolutely phenomenal play right there out of DRG. Did a really great job on that one. And I mean, let's see if he's got something else in the tank. It all started with that very weird, opener, the like super old school 2-base Muta opener. And Serral wasn't quite sure what was going on just yet. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. That was cool, and I'm excited now for game number 2.
And it's funny too. We're talking about this, how the Europeans have solved the Muta problem. You turtle and you do whatever. But apparently, 5 overlords, 60 or 30 lings into your main base, that kind of solves the solution to the Muta problem. It was interesting, of course, because we did see Serral build a couple more infestors than you normally go for in that style. That being said, though, folks, regardless of how we got there, it's a 1-0 lead coming in for DRG, and let's see if he's going to make it too, because Babylon is that map. In the bottom right, folks, in the red. He's down a game in this series. Let's see if he can force us to game 3. It's Serral.
And his opponent, spawning up at the top left, the man from Busan. It is Team Envy's DRG. Just an outstanding showing from him in game number 1. Now, we do have to mention that Serral, that if it wasn't for those idiot roaches that blocked the idiot queens, he would have been able to get the transfuse on the hive. And, you know, I mean, that is a positional mistake from him for sure, like not being able to spot that. There's a lot going on, so you can't really blame him. But if he's able to get those transfuses up, he keeps that hive alive. He doesn't have to all in off of Roach, Viper, Infester. And I think the game is drastically different from there. But the game went the way that it did, and yeah, DRG forced some big errors, and now he's going to even have a macro lead in game number 2 as Serral has opened up with a pool first. And DRG, I mean, he's just happily gone for a hatch first here.
And Steadfast, you know, actually the other important thing about that game 1? Do you realize that is the first map in a group stage that Serral has lost in the last year in a Katowice?
Oh, wow.
He did not lose a single map in Katowice 2022. And he had not lost his first, 2 maps in this Katowice. So, yeah, that's 12 maps in a row before he finally gets taken down. And, well, it's a DRG playing a style from about 10 years ago.
And it is one of the Korean Zerg players who has done better traditionally against him than nearly any other opponent in the KR. Well, in the KR region, like DRG is even in series against Serral, which is not something a lot of players can say, especially in, really for anything, but especially in ZVZ in the last, 4 years. So big kudos to DRG. And if he can take this, I mean, that would be a really excellent start to DRG's group here.
Steadfast, you talk about not many people having an equal series score against Serral. They're the only players that have a winning map score against Serral. They're all retired. So, yeah, it's elite company that DRG is setting in here right now. And if he's able to find another one, you talk about this lead, I mean, that does upend significantly the group that we're looking in right now, because this is not a group that is even defined by Serral. He's the number 2 seed. It's Hero. That's the top seed. Hero plays Serral, I believe, tomorrow. And we were looking at that as the match that defines the group. But if DRG is able to put another game on the board like this, maybe it makes it even more complicated.
It certainly could. It certainly could. We've already got something very interesting, by the way, in game number 2, as both players have opened up 2-base Evo. two base, even though it looks like it's going to be a double carapace out of both of them. Oh, okay, no, +1 missile. Ooh, this is very interesting because it will depend a lot on how things shake up, but there is a lot of opportunity for this to work very well for DRG because his carapace will counter the +1 missile, specifically in the Ling versus Roach fights. So normally, everyone knows this, but just to reiterate, normally Lings are 3-shotted by Roaches, takes 3 attacks to kill them. +1 missile turns it to 2. +1 carapace turns it back to 3. So that means that your Lings are going to be much more effective. There's a lot of very neat all-ins you can do off of a +1 carapace opener. So we're going to be keeping our eyes peeled to see if that's what we see out of DRG. And the fact that he's gone for a double gas opener makes me think that, yeah, that's very likely. And this could look very similar to what he did in game number 1. Ooh. Oh, nice cancel. Good job right there from Serral.
Yeah, now, Steadfast, I was going to say, I really, yeah, you're right. I do like the position of DRG in particular because he had that macro lead, so he can start building units faster. And yes, canceling that third base is important for Serral. Don't get me wrong, but this is kind of a 2-base all-in anyways. You want the third hatch to be up kind of as you're attacking, so you have that extra larva, but it's not like you're trying to build drones out of it. It's not like that's some economic position that you're looking for. So, well, we're going to have to just see, because Serral has now taken the drone lead. He is actually continuing to drone out of this. Lara's halfway done. The question now, I mean, he's building roaches, though. It seems like he does have the idea of just exactly what DRG is going for. You know, he's got those drones on the way, but he is keeping himself relatively even in army supply. So as much as we kind of like the idea of what DRG is doing, it seems like Serral's got it sniffed out.
Yes, I think he did slip into the main base. He's seen that there's no layer just yet. DRG, though, well, after his +1 carapace finishes, he's just going to go into the +1 missile. And it looks like he's just going to play this out in a normal way. He's like, okay, you sniffed me out. You scouted my third base. I think it was going to be a heavily dedicated attack, but now DRG needs to transition. And now that third base being delayed as much as it has been is actually a pretty big deal. As I say that, though, DRG is actually floating so much money right now. Did he miss? What? How? He's got 800 minerals in the bank. How is that? Did he miss an inject or what? Like multiple injects? He's got a lot of energy on these queens.
Yeah, but the bases are all injected.
They all have, yeah.
Probably down to the third base.
Quite confused.
Right, you lose out on the 3 to 4 larvae on the. Oh, it's not even enough. I don't know. Anyways, he is banking a lot. That's a problem, especially considering the fact that you're right. He's not going for that carapace all in that we kind of expected, and that means now that Serral is going to be very quick to that +2 range to this big 3-base swell of roaches if that's what he wants to go for. Roach speed faster as well. In fact, Serral's building some preemptive Ravagers here. How many does he? It's just the one. Okay, so I guess defensive single Ravager. I would have expected to see more of, despite with whatever he's going, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure. By the way, Serral does get a scout, sees that his opponent's droning, and he's like, okay, well, I gotta drop a few more drones of his own, of my own, I should say. DRG, nice little changeling in the third base mineral line. That's actually great for DRG, because while Serral gets the check on his opponent's, worker line, DRG gets to see it for as long as that changeling's alive, and Serral hasn't noticed the changeling yet. Every time this is a really great changeling. Oh my goodness. And it's even going to let DRG know if his opponent moves out. And actually, Serral, look at his Overlord vision on the map. I think he thinks that this was Muta's maybe or something, because he has so little Overlord vision right now. DRG, meanwhile, he's spreading creep like it's like a ZVP or a ZVT. It's going to give him a lot of vision, a lot of mobility. I think I'm liking this game once again, maybe for DRG. Especially if he gets up to this Tunneling Claws burrow play.
Oh, they both are doing that one, so that's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, they are.
The other interesting thing, of course, is DRG went for double Evo. So he's going to have 2/2 Roaches for quite a while before Serral even he's going to start Carapace now, but again, look at the timing, the timing difference there. Which, yes, is Carapace as important of an upgrade in Roach War as attack upgrades? No. But getting up 2 upgrades on the opponent's Roaches, it's still going to make a pretty significant difference. So maybe that's a timing DRG is going to be looking for. But for right now, folks, both players, they're very much aware of what their opponent's at, and they realize that their supply is very equal. There's not a lot of opportunities for anyone to move out, at least not until, I don't know, Vipers, Hives, something that allows for, like, better force concentration.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. And it's you kind of have to stay on this Roach War setup for a long time in a situation like this, because while you can transition into Hive, it's a period of vulnerability, and it's really difficult to get keep tabs on what your opponent's doing. Now, we've got Serral with a great Overseer over top of this army, and the engagement is going to break on out here. It is, for the moment, a small upgrade lead for Serral, 2-0 versus 1-1, but that's going to change during the fight, and that will equalize, but Serral gets a couple of good shots. He's going to move right into his opponent through the middle of the concave, dodging his opponent's Corrosive Biles, and it looks like this is going to be a better fight for Serral. I think DRG needs to disengage before this snowballs really hard. But actually, I mean, the +1 carapace or +2 carapace finishing is pretty nice for DRG. It actually ends up being very, very close. However, we've got a Ling run by at the third. We've got Burrow move Roaches in the main. Serral is currently down a couple workers, but he's going to quick equalize that quite quickly. Overseer doesn't have speed this game, so Serral's going to have a little bit more time to get in here. Meanwhile, Speedling's in the main base.
And Steadfast, what an anti-timing DRG just hit. His carapace was like 10 seconds out when he took the fight. +1 or +2 attack was not all that much further. And he took the fight when he should have been up 2 upgrades instead of being down 1. Like, he takes that fight probably. I mean, with how close that was. And I don't know whether he took that because he wanted the Ling run by to get more damage, just trying to distract Serral or something. But, I mean, that kind of feels like a pretty significant blunder here from a fight that should have been very good for him. All of a sudden, it turns into one that's at the most even and realistically not all that great.
Yeah, no, exactly. And even 1-2 versus 2-0, the math says that it's actually an equivalent fight because of how the damage point works. And a +2 upgrade is worth twice as much as the carapace upgrade. Now it's 1 versus 2, so it literally equalizes, but it is 2 upgrades being as valuable as 3. And the fact that it could have been, like you said, 2-2 versus 2-0, well, that would have been a pretty significant difference, I think. Still, DRG is trying to move on forward here. It's a little bit of a better concave for Serral, but he's got to readjust. And now the concave slightly favoring DRG. Corrosive Biles, oh, they are going to get dodged. They both move into one another. There's some harassment on the other side of the map right now from Serral, and it looks like he just has enough with the defensive reinforcements. He's going to push his opponent back. He kills, well, he's actually going to kill both spines here. Look at the Burrow drones against this, but Serral really starting to flex that multitasking, showing us why he personally got Tunneling Claws Roaches nerfed. You know, what was that, 4 years ago at this point?
Yeah, something like that. I do like the addition of the spines and the outlying bases, because when you're going for these burrowed roach type plays, right? What are you doing? You're putting them in, you're shift clicking, you're allowing them to kill the drones. It's fine. They're going to aggro on the spines. They're not going to attack the drones. And yes, do you lose the spine when this happens? Maybe, probably, as we saw there. But DRG didn't take any worker damage off that. He was able to maintain his economy. He can focus more at the front. Ooh. And Serral's response is just send more roaches. He's got the burrowed roaches on the left side, but DRG, bit of backstab on the other side. And you got to send Overseers with this, apparently, because both players, they're just burrowing their drones. But this might be enough roaches to take the base down. Serral, though, trying to fight him off. And it seems like as more roaches arrive, even if this base survives, it's going to be a lot of dead roaches coming in from DRG, which at this point, I don't know that he wants to lose those. And the base is going to... How many hatches? How many hatches this game have survived on like 2 HP?
Well, it is a lot of them, and we are going to see the Tunneling Claws Roaches splitting up here from Serral, but it is a speed Overseer, so they're able to manage this. Man, this is getting wild right now. They're just shuriken throwing roaches at one another all over the map, and the math is very complicated. Ooh, Corrosive Biles do land right on the center mass of those roaches. That's big. Meanwhile, counterattack is going to find this roach, or pardon me, this hatchery here. Serral just slightly outnumbered in the middle of the map. He is down 1 upgrade right now, but he's going to be able to re-engage here on this army. Barely, no, actually the spine behind this is going to be just enough to turn this in favor of DRG. It is very even right now. Counterattack into the main base. Burrow coming in on the drones and the queens, but it is now 4 bases to 3 in favor of DRG, and Serral has had to stop mining with a lot of units. He's got that Hydralisk Den, but he is kind of on the ropes right now.
By the way, shout out to you, Steadfast. When there are like 7 fights happening at the same time, I mean, it is hard to follow, so well done there. But yeah, okay, the other cool thing, Serral went for Hydra Den. We don't have that coming in from DRG just now. He's choosing to spend his money elsewhere. And because Serral lost that 4th base, he has this Hydra Den, but you kind of need 8 gas to make that one worthwhile. So he can't really use it, and it's just another dead investment as Roaches are going to try to find their way into the 3rd base here. There's not a spine just yet. It's going to be a Queen trying to buffer some of that damage. So DRG actually is forced back. He just is not ready to defend this, and he can't afford to lose anything. Despite being up a base, he does want to... Oh, those are big catches there on the Ravagers, but DRG now runs down the ramp. Not a lot of Biles. Biles actually landing on Serral here. DRG, though, you can't run too far forward. He will eat a couple of his own Roaches into the main base as DRG comes steamrolling across the map. Serral, counterattack on the left side. The spine of the Roaches, they're doing enough to delay it for now. And DRG thought about running across the map steadfast, but not enough. He did not have the time. Serral is not letting him leave his base.
Yeah, this is a really great couple of moves from Serral after a lot of pressure that DRG is exerting. Look at this. He's even splitting up the Roaches here. We saw a little burrow individual micro here from Serral, like he's using Blink Stalkers, something that we saw TLO do like 8-9 years ago. And honestly, it's very rare for it to gain value just because oftentimes, you know, Roaches are cheap. But in a situation like this, even saving 1 or 2 extra Roaches could make the difference. Resources lost is 1,000 better for Serral. And the problem is he's still down an upgrade, and DRG has been on that 4th base, but Serral resecures his own. Ooh, attack coming on in. Corrosive Biles will discourage both players from engaging. And I think they actually killed one of DRG's Overseers right there. Yeah. Meanwhile, oh, look at this again with the multitasking from Serral, hitting in multiple sides. He is doing such a good job with these burrowed Roaches.
And they said Roach Wars were not all that fun. What a game these two are playing, just all over the place. DRG's going to find himself supply blocked again, losing the Overseer, losing the Roaches there. And you talk about Serral's multitasking being all over the place and getting these counterattacks in always. DRG's response, he's just immediately burrowing the drones every time. He's not taking, it's distracting him, sure, and he does have to spend some Roaches to defend, but he's not taking damage as those Biles are wayward. But here comes Serral up the ramp. Biles gonna force DRG to micro. Biles hit pretty well, but DRG runs forward for the most part, and he does have more Ravagers here. That's the big count we're looking at. It's hard for Serral to take continuous fights. But the run by on the left side, that's gonna get found out for Serral. Meanwhile, fight at the front. And DRG, he's convinced that there's a run by into his 4th base. He's splitting off a bunch of his army to go deal with that. Or maybe to try to catch the army here that's coming in from Serral that's responding to his own run by. Meanwhile, Serral on the right side, he's trying to break this game open. And the fact that no one really has been able to do so is insane. Biles hit a Ravager, but they don't go down. And now, okay, DRG's got to back up. Good splits from Serral as well. And it seems like DRG's finally been able to force Serral back onto the other side of the map a little bit where his upgrades can actually matter. But the Biles, again, they forced him back on the left side. DRG's not able to find his way in there. And Serral's back on 4th bases. He has an economy once again. They're only on 49 drones each. But DRG finally taking advantage of a little bit of this time. First of all, he's got Hydra. Second of all, Hive finally on the way.
Yes, this game is nothing short of wild. We use the term slugfest pretty liberally here as commentators, but my God, is this ever a hell of a slugfest right now? We are going to see an engagement coming on in once again. Ooh, looks like Serral, he wants to swing in behind us. He was looking to get a big flank, but now he's actually going to have to re-engage on this army on the left side. He will be able to find a decent little trade to start things off. He's moving in on the other side. Looks like Corrosive Biles, well, actually, they do connect on a little bit of DRG stuff, I think. The Hydras are not the kind of thing you want to attack up a ramp into. That's so much additional DPS. Corrosive Biles for Serral landing there. Actually, I think that might have even been DRG fighting into his own Biles. Another decent Corrosive Bile right there for Serral. And in terms of the resources lost, it's now a 2,000 resource lead in favor of Serral, but they're both still maxed out. They're on the same bank, same setup. It is so razor's edge here. Serral being pushed to the limit. So too is DRG. This is an amazing game number 2 and a huge display of multitasking.
It's so fun here too on these low eco, barely 4 base type of situations. Like no one's above 50 workers. Where do you spend your money? That's actually a fantastic concave coming in from Serral, but DRG is going to be able to back out for the moment. And here's the big deal. He went Groove Spines over Hydra Speed, the big buff that they have. So DRG actually can't chase this down all that well. Fighting off creep is not easy with the amount of Hydras that are here, but there we go, 11 more Ravagers on the way. When we talk about money though, talking about how you're choosing to spend it, Serral delayed the Hive to get Lurkers. DRG, fast Hive, no Lurkers. The Ravagers, they're gonna morph right now. But these Lurkers steadfast, you gotta figure they're gonna change the game. I mean, Roach Ravager, doesn't fight into them all that well.
Nothing Zerg on the ground fights well into lurkers. Oh, great corrosive bile placements here. There are so many Ravagers for DRG. Serral might need to give it the space, but he does have those lurkers. Well, lurker burrowed now. Second one trying to join on up. These corrosive biles are ridiculous, but look at the flank. Serral's coming in from the backside. He's going to pin this army in. We are going to see DRG starting to move forward with his other army, but I think he missed the movement of Serral, and the flank slams into the vulnerable Ravagers from the back. He'll get the base, but is he going to lose too much on this bottom side?
Man, DRG he did such a great job of trying to trigger the trap a little early. Attacked the right side, but the left army was moving around, but there were lurkers there. You can't fight into that area, certainly not without detection. But you're right, this is now a 3-base Serral. He's not really mining on any of his 2 bases, so DRG needs to hold on. He has no lurkers. How many Hydras does he have? He's got 9 of them, but he's not in position right now. The Spine's gonna have to do so much. Biles are not gonna land. DRG's gonna lose a base. It's not as important as the one that Serral did lose, to be fair. And we're gonna see a lurker get chased down. It's not going to fall, and Serral now, equalizing the base count, is going to back up. The other thing we have to pay attention to, of course, is this 4th base from DRG has been around for forever. It's got to be mining out. It's not nearly going to be as healthy as that base that Serral is long distance mining from. So it's like, what are we looking at economically here? Serral up about 200 minerals per minute. No one has any money. And at that point, you got to figure the lurkers are going to matter, especially now. Serral's got Vipers on the way. 3-3 is not, even a 3 up or a 2 upgrade lead is not as important as these spellcasters.
Not as important as the spellcasters and the lurkers. The lurkers are going to be so huge. They will have that range upgrade. They don't have adaptive talons yet, but if he can get up to that, that is going to be a monster upgrade. Now, the Hydra Den was sniped, which means there's no more lurkers in production for a little while, but it's just been rebuilt. He's already got those 6 lurkers. That's going to be difficult to deal with. I would really like to see the adaptive talons with how mobile and how much movement there has been in this game. I really think we need to see that. Now, we've got 2 fully charged Vipers here for DRG, and that means 4 lurkers could just get instantly abducted. Oh, a nice little roach run by here. If this base... Oh, no, Serral, no, no, no! Oh, no, oh. I guess he just wants to save the roaches? I think sniping the base would have been worth it, especially since he's on roaches or on lurkers at home. But I mean, he does see his opponent's Vipers now. Now, as Serral, you've got an interesting decision. Do I try and abduct my opponent's Vipers and prevent their abducts? Or do I go for blinding clouds and say, nah, you abduct me, but I like murder you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Serral is getting his +3 now. He is starting to establish that. But at this point, I mean, despite the fact that Serral has been able to reestablish the upper right side base, his economy, you can't afford to even lose those roaches, really. So I understand him saving them. But there we go. You talked about wanting lurker speed. He has it now. I do want to point out, he had it. He was getting it for a second, but he canceled it because he just needed more stuff on the ground. As here we go, DRG on the high ground here. That's a key abduct target. One lurker's going to go down. Good at start of the fight. Second one is going to get abducted as well. Not getting target fired. Blinding cloud on the left side, though, as DRG tries to come in. The lurkers are not getting the damage they want, but big biles on the army of DRG. But even still, okay, here we are. Now the lurkers are getting their damage done, but the biles force them back, and DRG comes storming in. The reigning world champion is going to fall down right here. There are not enough lurkers anymore. Serral loses his first 2 matches in the group stage in 2 years. And Dong Regu, he makes it happen.